upon his release from prison at a restaurant on La Cienega Boulevard. We're sitting together at a square table. By mid-afternoon, it's fairly empty. Pac is looking fly in a suit, stylish but casual. It's a deep navy electric blue with a slight sheen to it. I'm in a white dress of some kind. Since Pac's release, he's stepped up his style game, and I love it. Pac and I are meeting because, once again, he has a movie he wants us to do together. It's a crime story with a dark comedic edge called Gridlocked. And I listen as he explains the script and the role he thinks I'd be good for. But there's a big old monster elephant in the room we aren't mentioning. Pac knows I'm not at all happy about his get down since his release. His whole vibe has changed since his association with Suge. I can't make it all Suge's fault. Post-jail, Pac's a little different, but who isn't after doing time? And I believe he is allowing his bitterness, disappointment, and anger to be preyed upon. I'm worried about you, Pac, I say, interrupting his flow. This kicks off a hailstorm of rage as he leans across the table and into my face, aware, as I am, that we could be overheard if we don't keep our volume in check. Pac makes it clear that I don't need to be worried about him, and that since I got all Hollywood, I've forgotten what it takes to be a real nigga out here. Where's all this going? My genuine concern is his display of vengeance since he was shot and released from prison, and his participation in the steady brewing of the East Coast-West Coast beef. It's about to put Pac back in jail or worse. He cuts me off. I know what you think about me. He pauses a beat. I can see your thoughts in your dreams. I know what you're thinking. You can't fucking hide from me. You done gone all Hollywood, but that's cool. That's why I got my real partners out here. I lean back across the table into Pac's face, try my best to keep my voice down. Who the fuck do you think you talking to, Pac? Talking about I'm all Hollywood. You're being reckless. We are seething at each other with a calm intensity like two bulls in a stare down, fixing to charge. I don't even know who the fuck you are anymore, he says. Ditto, nigga. The disagreement gets more intense and goes back and forth. His gist is that I am no longer a real one, and mine is that he's mad because I'm not placating his bullshit. Pac's not having my pushback, and I'm not having his disrespect. Next thing I knew, he was done talking, and so was I. When I got up to walk toward the exit of the restaurant, I was so angry my legs were shaking. We didn't say goodbye to each other and went our separate ways. As soon as I got in my car, I called my then manager, James Lassiter, who was Will's longtime friend and manager as well. In a torrent of tears, I exploded. Fuck Tupac! I don't want to do that stupid movie or anything with him! I never want to talk to him again! I tried to calm down, knowing, of course, I shouldn't be ranting to James. He was not built to take on my hysteria. All I could do was try to catch my breath. I couldn't believe that Pac and I had just had that exchange. Then again, this kind of blow-up between us was not new. The drill had always been that we would give each other the silent treatment. He was one of the few people on the planet with whom I could fight that harshly and still know there was no love lost between us. Pissed as I was, I knew, like always, that time would pass and we would say our apologies, hug it out, and we'd be back. But he was going to have to call me first this time, and I was not budging on that. He had been way out of line. So let me say this. If you have a blow-up with someone you really cherish, do not play the game of waiting for the other person to get wise. Almost a year passed. On September 8th, 1996, Pac was shot in Las Vegas and I was in Toronto shooting the movie Woo. I was on the set when I got a page from Afeni. I called her immediately. As soon as she let me know what had happened, I told her, I can shut the set down right now and come to you guys. It's okay. He's in a coma, but he's going to be all right. With no panic or alarm in her voice, Afeni continued to give me the rundown on his condition, but kept assuring me that Pac was going to be fine. After surviving 5 bullets and everything else, he was considered invincible. That put me at ease, even though I did stop the shoot for the day. I was scheduled to leave for New York soon. Will had planned an early birthday celebration for me with our families because he was promoting a movie out of the country and would be gone on the 18th. Should I cancel the trip to New York, Faye? She suggested I fly out after the celebration, telling me he should be awake by then. She assured me that everybody was there, holding it down, including Pac's fiancée, Kadada. Afeni didn't think for a moment that he could actually die, and neither did I. For the next 5 days, I checked in regularly with Afeni on Pac's condition and planned to head out to Vegas on the 14th, whether he was awake or not. On the night of the 13th, we were in our hotel room in New York as the events of the evening were winding down. Cherie called Will, and I overheard her on the phone saying, Pac just died. I said to Will, hang up. She don't know what the fuck she's talking about. She's lying. I was pissed. How dare she spread a fucking terrible rumor like that? How dare she do that? Will, seeing how upset I was, told Cherie he would call her back. Just then I got a knock on the door of my hotel room, and it was Fawn. As soon as I saw the frozen pain and sorrow on her face, I knew what Cherie had said was true. My knees buckled. I nearly fell to the floor. My whole system crashed. I lost my breath for a moment. I never once saw myself on this planet without him here, somewhere on it. I felt a huge piece of love for me leave the world, part of myself gone. In its place was rageful sadness. Pac had been a mirror, a reflection of the best of myself, a tether. My heart felt ravaged, like a million stabbings every second. My worst fear had come true. For too long, I drank the Kool-Aid and allowed the illusion of his invincibility to squander time. I hadn't spoken to him in damn near a year. I could not punish Pac's memory by thinking that he left this world in any way, questioning how much I loved him, because I know for a fact he did know. Yet I tortured myself thinking whether things might have been different if I had been strong enough to express my fears without judgment, to prevent my anger from blinding me to the fact that life is fragile. In the end, I don't think that would have made a difference. He made his choices, and he fulfilled the plan God laid out for him. But it would take me a very, very long time to accept that truth. I'm glad I never made it to Vegas, though. I'm glad my last memory of Tupac is not an image of him in a coma. I'm glad I didn't have to share space with Suge as Pac was dying. When I heard that Pac had been cremated, I was very upset and immediately believed Suge was the one behind that decision, which made me ask questions. I never heard Pac say that he wanted to be turned into ashes. Never. Tupac Amaru Shakur had been murdered, and the first action was to burn his body into ashes. What if we needed his physical body for more evidence? Pac only ever talked about being buried in a casket. He spoke of it in songs and told me of the morbid fantasies he had of his death, envisioning masses in the streets following his casket to his grave. In my mind, something wasn't right. To make matters worse, at the private memorial Afeni chose to have in Jasmine's backyard, I answered the door. was Suge, who delivered Pac's ashes into my very hands. In the cardboard box one is given by the crematorium. I'll never forget the slight smile in his eyes when he handed me that box, like, there's your homie, homie. Now, I could be putting 20 on 10 because of the state I was in. Between Suge's smirk as he handed me those ashes and my assumptions about Suge's involvement in what happened to Tupac, I might have been putting a lot of color on the moment. But I tell you what, and I do myself no good to say it, I wanted him to pay. I never felt that intense need for revenge in me before, not even after being held at gunpoint. Pac was dead, and Suge handed me his ashes in a little cardboard box like it was just another fucking day. No, I'm sorry for your loss. Nothing. I felt helpless, and I hated myself for my helplessness. I hated that I had no way to get even, take revenge, confront Suge, find the joker who pulled the trigger, make somebody fucking pay. I hated the streets, I hated hip-hop, and every fake-ass gangster acting like they really on some gangster shit when within only 6 months we had 2 hip-hop giants dead, Pac and Biggie, and don't nobody know nothing, and ain't nobody trying to do nothing? Fuck this bullshit and everybody in it. For years to come, I would feel like I had let Pac down at the end. I had been able to show up for him for so many years, and at this most crucial time, I didn't know how to show up in a way that didn't rock the boat. It was complicated by the fact that there were people then who believed Suge had done right by Pac and his family. I knew different. Pac's life had been stolen, and as things unfolded, I would find that his trust had been betrayed as he was making moves to change the direction of his life. There was a lot happening, and I felt I was putting a lot at risk if I kept involving myself in Pac's matters. I knew eventually with my continued involvement, I was going to pull Will in, and I just could not jeopardize that. Pac had done his best to keep me away from the danger of his world. He would not want this moment to be any different. I knew that for certain. I swallowed my pride and did the most unfathomable thing and walked away. Thank goodness Afeni eventually put on her cape and went to war to expose how Pac had been financially exploited during his death row tenure. And that wasn't the half of it. As time passed, it healed nothing. I didn't even know how to grieve Pac. So I stuffed my rage, my pain, and my shame into a forgotten place within me. And I never again felt the same love for hip-hop or the streets. From then on, it was all dead to me.